Welcome in. Today we're going to be talking about cons, specifically VTubers at cons. And I titled this presentation A Pro at Cons because I wanted to be cute because it's like pros and cons. Pros at cons. Anyway, yes, thank you. That's me, Kōri-Oujo, making dumb jokes like that no one's going to understand unless I explain it heavily like this. Anyway, kind of disclaimer, everything that I'm going to be talking about here. This is just my experiences. I'm not putting anyone down. I'm not calling anyone out, whether it be an event or a company or whatever. I'm not calling anyone out. I'm just here to talk about my experiences, and hopefully my experiences may help shape what you decide to do if you are a VTuber that's looking to go into cons and stuff like that. So I'll talk a little bit about my experience, and I know my big forehead's kind of in the way, but I've been to over 20 different conventions at this point. The way that I've attended has never been me physically attending. So to make it very, very clear, I have never actually physically been at any of the conventions that I have ever attended. For me, I've always been on a screen. So I've been there to do panels. I've done a performance most recently at TaioCon, which was out in Arizona. And then I've had a booth. I think most of the time when I go to conventions, I have a booth. Lately, I have been doing a mobile rig. I want to also caveat and say that I built my mobile rig myself. It's not a robot. It is manual, completely manual. That's kind of been my setup, is that I do have a physical representative, and that helps me set up and pushes me around depending on my setup, right? And I almost always, try to do a panel or a performance at the cons that I go to as well. I've reached out to over 200 different conventions in the last 2 years. Probably more than that, but I don't know. I've lost count. So a lot of times you're going to do a lot of outreach to whatever you decide to do. And let's just in this scenario say it's cons. 90% of the time, you're not going to get any response. It's just going to be like a ghost, right? 5% of the time, it's like, oh no, we can't support this, or we don't want you, or like we're not accepting any guests. 3% of the time, it's like you don't have enough numbers. Yeah, it's like numbers or ticket sales. Like, can you bring in more ticket sales? You have the numbers for it. The unfortunate reality of our industry here is that numbers do kind of matter. And then the 2% is really like the, okay, maybe, let's talk about it, right? And then the 1% from that 2% is the ones that you get to go to. So it really is like a numbers game, which I hate saying that kind of thing. But if you are trying to like go to cons, obviously you can try to be a lot more targeted. I always recommend, like, if you are trying to go to a con, depending on your capacity of which you'd like to go, whether it be like mobile rig or booth or whatever. Like, if you're trying to booth, I highly recommend doing one that's like without doxing yourself, like semi close to you, you know what I mean? Because if there are any problems that arise, you can try to quickly fix it, or at the very least it's like semi local, so you kind of know like the vibe as well, right, of like your local town. Again, it depends on how you want to attend. So these are like very common questions that I get asked. How do you find cons to go to? For me, it's just a lot of research. I wish there was like a secret sauce. It's just a lot of research, essentially. It's these con websites, looking in different states. That's what I've done. Obviously for me, it's looking on social media, saving stuff, just general research. And also you can try to ask your community too, like, hey, do you have conventions that you'd recommend me to try to go to, And the other thing is that with cons, sometimes they don't allow that setup. I've reached out to cons and they're like, yeah, we just can't support a VTuber at our con at this time. And that's totally fair, right? So you have to consider as well, like, a lot of these cons, they don't know what having a VTuber means at their event. 80% of the cons that I've been to, they've never had a VTuber before. I was their first VTuber. You need to consider, are they going to be able to support you in what you want to do, right? There's some cons where, for example, if you are like me and you want to have a booth, sometimes they don't offer a booth, or you have to buy one. Or if you need electricity, which is what I do need, obviously, because I have a screen and I have a laptop, then you're going to have to purchase that as well, or you're going to have to talk to the event organizers about like, hey, I need electricity. Can they give that to you or not? Another question I get a lot is, what is your setup? Basically, it's so unique and special to me because of the circumstances that I was in my previous life before a VTuber. It doesn't really apply to anyone else. For those of you who don't know, I was really deep in the cosplay community, and I had made so many connections through my time in the cosplay community. Photographers, YouTubers, content creators, other cosplayers, artists, right? People who are at booths, people who worked booths. Hint, hint, the knowledge that I have is thanks to my time and experience in the cosplay community. My setup really relies on the fact that I already have experience there. If you don't have that experience, if you don't have that networking already, that's a whole different journey. You know, your journey is going to be completely different from mine. So I can't really explain. It doesn't really like help your situation, because the other thing is that like you may want to go in a different capacity. I've already made the decision that like I think I will attend a convention physically in person. I want to remain virtual. I want to remain as Kōri-Oujo. However I present Kōri-Oujo, I just want it to be her. That's the long story of why it's really hard to explain like what it is and how someone else can achieve it, because I've only achieved it thanks to my past life and to my experience and the knowledge I already have, you know what I mean? And the way that I want to attend, right? Other question I get, why did you start going to cons? Really enjoyed interacting with the community back when I was in the cosplay community. And so when I was getting deeper into VTubing and I was struggling with like my identity as a creative content creator, I was like, what do I want to do with this? Like, what makes me happy? What am I passionate about? And it really was being able to go to cons to interact with the community, you know what I mean? And so that's basically why I started. I was like, how can I take something that I was really passionate about in my previous life as a cosplayer into VTubing? And that was conventions essentially. But you don't really see it commonly is what I found. And I was like, it'd be cool if we started seeing that a little bit more, because I do feel like VTubers just feel like the right thing for an anime convention. The last question I get asked a lot is, how do you balance going to cons and streaming? And honestly, you don't. I'm just kidding. But it is really difficult. I think it's something that I can't always give an answer on, because it's dependent on you as a person. Me as a person, I don't know. I've been doing this for so long that like I know I can do it. And that's just my work ethic. My work ethic has always been be stressed out, I guess. I don't fucking know, dude. Anyway, so I also really want to pound it in all of your brains, okay? If you are someone that has a very low social battery, if you're someone that like you have a hard time keeping your social battery high or keeping a positive attitude while talking with multiple people, I really highly recommend not going to cons. And I know that sounds like, what do you mean? Why would you say that? It can be a lot more tiring and you can feel burnt out so much faster from doing cons and streaming if you're someone that cannot handle the social aspect of doing a con. It's not for everyone. It's okay to accept like, maybe this isn't my thing. Like truly, it is okay. We've given free stickers out to over 10,000 people at this point in time. Not all of them have stopped to talk to me, but I'm pretty sure like at least, let's just say half of those people have talked to me. That's 5,000 people. If your social battery just drains super quickly, which is totally fine, cons may not be the thing for you, because it will burn you out so quick and you will be very frustrated with the results as well. Like, trust me, I'm saying that from experience. So here's some things that I've loved about being a VTuber attending cons. One thing I really liked, definitely connecting with the community. It's a unique interactive experience to really be an anime person online and like you get to interact with human beings in the real world. Like that's such a cool experience on the other side and your side too, to be able to like, I'm engaging with people but like in character, you know, like that's so fun. A lot of the people that are in my community now are people that I've met at conventions, and I think it's fun to be able to like educate people on VTubers as well, which goes into like my next point. I get to be people's first, which is haha, LMAO, wink wonk, wink wonk. But literally a lot of people tell me, you know, this is their first time interacting with a VTuber. My last point, pushing the boundary of where VTubing goes. So I've always really enjoyed just the fact that VTubing can go some crazy places, you know what I mean? And it's really fun to see. Obviously, we've been to conventions. We've also done the baseball collab. I was on the Jumbotron is what they called it. That was a collab that I did in a way that we were pushing the boundary where VTubing was going. And I also have a partnership with a NASCAR driver. I'm supposed to be going to some races with them and having Kōri decals on like the car. And I feel like it's been such an amazing experience to get like reactions almost of like, oh, there's a VTuber here, or like what, you know, it's like, it's really neat to be able to do that, and in general be able to educate more people on what VTubing is. It's so cool to be able to say that we get to create that environment and that experience for people. Now let's talk about the cons of cons. Haha, LMAO. I want to again say I have a representative that is obviously representing me at the booth cameras and the mobile rig, and I've always trained them on how I want to be presented. I'm very meticulous about that. I give them things to be able to say or to hand out. I have free stickers where I cut them all out, I bag them, put them in little baggies, and I staple that bag onto a business card. And we've given over 10,000 of those out, incentivizing people to try to talk to us, right? These are all things that I'd like you to know as we talk about this, okay? Those are the steps that I've taken. That is the setup that I have. And with all that in mind, here's my biggest problems with conventions. Kind of talked about before, there's a lot of times when you have rude people that come up to your booth or that come up to you to interact with you, and you have to keep your cool. Like, obviously, when you're streaming, it's a little bit different because you can just like have your moderators ban them or time them out or just be like, you know, hey, that's not cool. But when you're in person, when you're looking at someone in their face, you know, for most of us, it's a little bit harder to be like, yo, shut up. You know what I mean? It's a little bit harder to be confrontational depending on the kind of person you are. Now, if you also are a person that is very highly confrontational, you have to be careful because you may be, if you're like on a robot that you do not own, you may be on that and you don't want that person to damage the robot that you're on because you may be liable for that. When you're dealing with strange personalities or rude people, try to disengage. That's where the social battery thing comes into play, where it's like, how long can you really put that up? And like, that's such an honest thing, okay? I'm just being real. It can get really tiring and you just kind of like, you end up having a short fuse, and that's just me as a person after doing it so many times. I think I had a lot of patience when I first started doing cons, but now that we're like 20 plus in, I do have a lot less patience, okay? I do have a lot less patience for bullshit. I will say that. That kind of like goes into my next point. So there is a pretty low conversion rate. The con audience is still very much different from the VTuber audience as a whole. Just from my experience, a lot of like the people in the VTuber audience, they don't really go to cons because there is not already a very prominent representation of VTubers at cons. Like, not a lot of VTubers are going to cons still. And so there's still a distinct difference between the con audience and the VTuber audience. A lot of people in the con audience, they're at conventions because they enjoy going to conventions and they enjoy gaming or anime or manga or comics. And VTubing, maybe they're kind of like, oh, that's cool, but they don't really like engage with it often. You know what I mean? They're more interested in like spending their time elsewhere. Like, you'll see after a con, the next day you stream, like there'll be people coming in from the con like, oh, I saw you at Carrier Con, or I saw you at Offkai. That's cool. And then like after that, they don't come back. Generally what happens. This is just my experience. All I'm saying is that most of the time though, you're lucky if you get one. And that's like where I set my expectation now, is like, if I can get one person to come back, I'll be happy. Even though I spent so much money and time and energy and effort and being at this con, if I can get one more person to come back, I'll be happy with that. That's a success. That leads me into my next point. Wow, it's crazy how I flow like that. It takes a lot of time going to cons and organizing this and doing all of that crap. It's a lot of money to try to like even get the booth to look nice and branded, and trust me, it is worth it if you can make your booth look nice. It does attract eyes, it does like, you know, pay off, I feel like, but it is expensive to do that. So if you already don't have the money to go, just don't. Honestly, invest your money in your stream. I wanted to also talk about this phenomenon of like VTubers going to cons, because I have noticed a rising trend happening lately. There's VTubers that are buying time slots to be on a mobile robot at cons. Please read this point here. I've been on one of these before. I'm not here to call out or talk down on anyone in particular, okay? Or no company. TLDR, while I think you should try it once, like I said before, it's not really worth it, depending on what you want out of it. If that wasn't clear already, if you want to go just to like experience it and just have fun, 100% it's worth it. 100% do that, have fun, enjoy yourself, experience it, cool. Here's what I find to be the challenge of this rising trend, or the challenges, really. These are usually paid slots, and the people that are running it may not be truly as invested in your brand as you might might need them to be. And I'm not saying that they're not invested in your brand, by the way. By any means, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that what I have found is even with the representation that I have, which I have one rep and I have taught that rep everything about Kōri to the point where it's like exhausting, okay? I've taught my rep everything. We've made the sales pitch. We have that process built out. We have the entire pitch built out. I can almost guarantee you will not be able to do that with the people that are running those paid time slots. Again, with the time slots, I think it's very important to develop a strategy. So I don't personally have a strategy for it. I literally just went on there to like, okay, let me just try it out because it seems interesting. And so I'll talk about my experience on my own mobile rig. What I have done is be the most obnoxious human being I could possibly be. And every fiber of my introverted ass hates it, okay? I shit myself every time. My butt cheeks are sweaty. I'm getting sweaty just thinking about it. But I'd literally just be the most obnoxious human being on this fucking planet when I'm on a mobile rig. Why? Because people look at you. That is how you get people to look at you. I would make D's nuts jokes as I'm rolling through Fan Expo SF on a mobile rig. That is my strategy, I guess. If I have a strategy, that's what it is. All in all, I do think that it's a fun experience. Like I said, it's super cool. It's a really awesome experience to be able to go out, interact with people, and just like see another con and be in character while you're seeing a con. And like, I don't know, it's really cool and neat, almost like a video game, right? But I will admit that I do think that you're better off investing your time and your money and whatnot into your stream or your brand, especially if you're a newer VTuber. So here's my brief summary of what I've said. My recommendation obviously is don't go to cons if you expect numbers or conversion, or if you have a limited budget, time, or if you lack social battery, okay? All of those are kind of like important things to consider. Like I said, invest your time, invest your budget into trying to grow the audience that you have on your socials already. Next point, it is okay to accept that going to cons is not for you or it doesn't fit your brand. If your brand is like, I am a VTuber that plays horror games, play the horror games. play it. Just play the horror games. Don't go to cons. You don't need to go to cons right now. If it's not something that fits your brand, don't do it, basically, is my suggestion. And it's okay to accept that that's not you. It may look cool, but is it worth your time and energy and effort and money to commit to that when you may realize you may not get much from it? My final point is, if you do go to cons, I highly recommend trying to make the most out of it with content. Make content out of like your experience at the con if you do end up going, because that's how I feel like you're gonna make the most out of your money, especially considering like you may have a low conversion rate at the con, but that doesn't mean that you may have a low conversion rate after the con. I did the Rough Riders game, the American baseball collab. I don't think that many people followed me from that event, like maybe like 5 or 10, but it was a social media post that I posted, the video of Kōri on that Titantron. That's what got me the interactions, was the video itself. You know, you can gain that conversion rate, quote unquote, can come after the fact, like after the con. Those posts help you gain traction there instead of like the con itself. Does that make sense? So let the content be the thing that leads you and drives you. The con, at the end of the day, is the cons, okay? The con is the cons, the pros is the content, all right? There we go. Does that make sense? Simple maths right there, quick maths. 80% of my time going to conventions has been wonderful, has been positive. I still truly love what I do, and I'm not like telling you all of these truths just to be like, I don't want you guys to do it, I just want to do it. It's not like that. It is literally me complaining. I am complaining about the dumb shit that I've had to go through in order to do the things that I do. That's it. Stream of me ranting. Genuinely, it's just to like spread awareness about how difficult this is and why it is such a feat when you do see someone do it successfully. I love what I do. I love the people that I've met. Thank you to all of those who have stayed, whether you're watching the VODs after, or you're watching the edited content, or you're lurking on the stream, or you're lurking on Twitter or on Instagram. Like, I really do appreciate all of you. None of this was to put down the efforts that you guys have made to be present in in your own way in my VTubing career. But, you know, I'm just speaking from my experience and speaking from the things that I struggle with. It's okay to say that we struggle with things as human beings. Thank you everybody for listening. If you are going to be going to cons and things like that, I wish you the best of luck. I hope all of you, whatever you decide to do, pursue your passions and pursue what makes you happy. Okay? Good night, everyone! Oyasumi nasai!